You know that feeling when you leave a friend's house and you just feel drained? You can't quite put your finger on it, but there's this weird sense of unease, kind of like you just walked through a psychological minefield. Well, that gut feeling is exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to explore what might just be the most dangerous emotion of all: jealousy. And it's dangerous for one big reason. It's the most hidden.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the challenge. See, we're not looking for some obvious enemy here. We are decoding the subtle attacks that are hidden inside the embrace of a friendship. Think of this as your field guide for spotting the cracks in the mask before the real sabotage can start.
So, our investigation kicks off with the most common kind of evidence: their words. But these aren't obvious insults. Oh no, they're way more clever than that, disguised as something else entirely.
Okay, first up, we have the most classic verbal trap in the book.
It's called the sandwich insult. You probably know it as the backhanded compliment. This is where a really sharp criticism is carefully, tucked between two slices of what seems like praise. But why do people do this? The psychology behind it is actually fascinating. This whole behavior is driven by something called cognitive dissonance. A jealous person is basically torn. There's a part of them that admires you for sure, but there's another part that really resents your success. So to solve this internal conflict, their mind has to find a way to devalue you, to bring you down a notch. And that creates the absolute perfect recipe for a backhanded compliment. And here is a perfect example. On the surface, it sounds like they're praising your confidence, right? But the hidden message, the real meat in that sandwich, is you look messy. So if you find that praise from someone consistently leaves you feeling kind of confused or even insulted, trust that feeling. It wasn't a compliment. It was a power play. All right, next up, this attack moves from just a private chat into the public square. This one is called public pruning. Now, this person might be totally pleasant in private, but the second they get in front of an audience, their insecurity just flares up. They'll bring up an old failure of yours, or they'll tell an embarrassing story. They are metaphorically pruning you, the tallest flower, down to their level just to make themselves look better by comparison. And of course, when you react, they hit you with the ultimate gaslighting phrase: "Relax, I was just joking." But let's be really clear about this. Humor that relies on humiliating somebody else, that's not a joke. It's hostility wearing the mask of humor. Simple as that. Okay, let's move on to our second big clue. This one isn't just about what they say, but what they do whenever you're the center of attention. It really comes down to their deep-seated inability to let you have the spotlight, even for a second. Our third sign is a classic move, a real textbook example of conversational one-upmanship. Just watch what happens the very second you share some good news. A jealous person has this almost physical aversion to you being the main character. They'll immediately interrupt you or talk over you or pivot the conversation right back to themselves. So you announce you're going to Paris, and boom, they launch into a story about their trip to Rome. They're not trying to relate, they are competing. Now, for a more subtle form of competition, we come to our fourth sign: imitation. Jealousy is often just admiration that's gone sour. They want what you have, so they literally start to become you. They might start using your slang, pick up your hobbies, or even copy your style. But, and here is the absolute key, they will never, ever admit that you were the source of their inspiration. It's like they strip mine your personality for parts, but then refuse to credit the original creator. And now we move into our third, and honestly, darkest set of clues. This is where that envy turns into full-blown emotional sabotage. It's all about how they secretly feed on your emotions. Our fifth sign, well, this one can be tough to accept. It reveals a friend's true colors in your best and your worst moments. Just notice the stark contrast here. When you fail, they are the very first person to comfort you. They'll listen for hours, soaking up every little detail of your misery. Why? Because your failure makes them feel superior. You're not a threat anymore. But just watch what happens when you succeed. All of a sudden, they're too busy. They just disappear. The true test of a friend isn't who cries with you. It's who celebrates when you rise.
Okay, for our sixth sign, you have to become a bit of a detective of the human face.
So a researcher named Paul Ekman discovered these things called microexpressions. They're these tiny, totally involuntary facial movements that reveal a person's true feelings.
Before someone can put on their social mask, that fake smile, their real emotion leaks out for just a fraction of a second. So next time you share good news, watch their face like a hawk. You might just see a flash of a sneer or a quick eye roll or a tightening of the lips right before they say, "Congratulations." That first expression, that was the truth.
And finally, we arrive at our seventh sign, and this is probably the most insidious form of sabotage there is. Bad advice. It's that simple. Because they don't want you to succeed, they will plant these little seeds of doubt, but they disguise it as concern. They frame their sabotage as just looking out for you, but their real goal is to keep you right where you are so you never, ever outgrow them. So after identifying all these signs, what do you do? What's the next step? Well, you don't need to declare war or stage some big dramatic confrontation. The most powerful response is actually a strategic one. The solution is to put them on an information diet. Just stop giving them the news, good or bad, that they love to feast on. Don't give them access to the very emotions they want to manipulate. And look, this isn't about punishment. It's about protecting your energy and your success. Keep your circle small and your achievements quiet. Sometimes the absolute best defense is just silence. So as we wrap this up, I want you to think about your own life. These patterns, they're subtle, for sure, but they are incredibly real, and they can have a massive impact on your well-being. So reflect on what we've talked about and just ask yourself, which one of these signs hits a little too close to home? Well, you don't need to declare war or stage some big dramatic confrontation. The most powerful response is actually a strategic one. The solution is to put them on an information diet. Just stop giving them the news, good or bad, that they love to feast on. Don't give them access to the very emotions they want to manipulate. And look, this isn't about punishment. It's about protecting your energy and your success. Keep your circle small and your achievements quiet. Sometimes the absolute best defense is just silence. So as we wrap this up, I want you to think about your own life. These patterns, they're subtle, for sure, but they are incredibly real, and they can have a massive impact on your well-being. So reflect on what we've talked about and just ask yourself, which one of these signs hits a little too close to home? One of these signs hits a little too close to home.